Welcome to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat podcast. Now, sit back and enjoy while Nick and Trevor help you use your technology to make money and delight your clients.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat podcast. I'm here with Trevor. Good morning, Trevor. How are you?
Good morning, Nick. How are you? I'm great. Well,
excellent.
I'm in lockdown, and you've been to the pub yesterday, so maybe
go to the pub yesterday.
Nick said to me earlier, he said, "Hey, how are you feeling?" I said, "I'm feeling a bit down. You know, I was going all right. We got some upside. We got some things." And then I think when he said he went to the pub and he went and had lunch, I went,
Yeah, but then our COVID cases all spiked this weekend and we'll all be locked down again. So there you go.
And it's funny, the little things get to you now, right? So the weather is really impacting on me at the moment. I'm finding if it's cold, I'm going, are we ever going to get some good weather? When are we going? And I'm thinking, well, I never go freaking outside anyway. So what is it? Maybe that's because it's the only thing I can do is go for a walk. So the weather is really impacting on my.
But you do live in Melbourne. If the weather was going to impact on you psychologically, maybe you live in the wrong place. I don't know.
Oh, that's harsh. At least we get change. I did live in Queensland for 7 years, and it's boring there. It never changes. It's 32 degrees, and the only difference is how humid it is. Nothing happens. So I say to people, I go, well, this has probably changed now, but you know, in Melbourne, we get 9 months of the type of weather that they dream for from June to August in Queensland because they hate it when it's so hot and humid up there. That's why they won't go to daylight savings because they don't want to see one more hour of sunlight.
Yep.
So that's my rant of the day. The weather is COVID impact on me is I'm getting cranky about the weather.
Oh well, there we go. And still an impact on me. I said to my wife yesterday. I said, I'm going out for lunch with a friend, and she went, "Yeah, I'm bringing COVID back." And I'm like, "Oh God!" So my friend turned up and he said, "Linda, do you want to go for lunch?" And she went, "Yeah, it's cool." So all three of us went for lunch.
Oh, there you go.
We all brought COVID back. But
quick little text on the way through when he's walking in. Otherwise, I'm not going.
No, I didn't do that. It's all good. All right, so what are we chatting about today?
What are we chatting? Well, I was having a chat yesterday, Nick. We were just talking about it. Just seems like the momentum in the app space, especially around Xero, has stopped. It's not stopped, but it's it went crazy for 3 to 5 years. We were, I think they're up to about 800 different add-ons and apps.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing anything new.
So
have we reached our at the end of it? Is there nothing new to invent? Which is not.
No, that's probably not true. I think it's quite a fascinating bit of the world if you think about it. So, a lot of the way you got to feel that momentum and energy was going to events.
Yeah,
and you haven't been to an event for forever, so it's a lot harder, I think. One of the things I used to see in at least the Xero world is people who go to conferences, they wander around the stands and they go, "Oh, that's new. I hadn't thought of that." Whereas right now, well, the way people are finding solutions is they're going, "I need a piece of software that solves this," and they're Google searching for it. They're not being introduced to the fact that there's new solutions for new problems. So certainly, if I was launching an app into that ecosystem right now, I'd be pretty concerned because it's a complex process to get into those types of stores. And when you have done, you want to do a launch, you want to do some marketing, you want to do all sorts of stuff. It's really hard to reach the customers now.
Yeah,
at least here. And in other countries, I'm seeing events start up again, and that start working. But really, it's very difficult. It's not difficult to sell an app in a marketplace that's known with a set of solutions that are known, and you've got a new take on it. You can do that all online. That's super simple because you can hit people because they're looking for something. It's when you come up with something truly new, and you're almost creating a new vertical. So take practice ignition, for for example, and the wonderful work Guy Pearson did with that company, and they certainly struggled for years to launch that one. But it's every show they were at, making a fuss, making a noise, creating this trying to convince people that there's this new way of doing that kind of proposal generation and billing stuff, and they had to spend ages educating the market till they got enough of a groundswell that it started taking off. And that's really common, but it's really hard to educate a market at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And the other thing too is, we know how hard it is to make a buck out of that space. It's not the easiest place. Don't people look at it and go, they think twice now. They've got some history. They've got some run rate. They can go and talk to other people and say, what did you do? What did you do wrong? I've had quite a few people ring me, and want to have a coffee and a chat to say, hey, we're thinking about, this is what we're doing, and how do we get into the marketplace, and how do we get in touch with the accountants, and how do we get them on board? And I said, well, yeah, that's without a conference, it's really hard. Your idea is fantastic, but how do you market it?
But ideas are just the thing, right? The thing is being able to build a robust, reliable app or software platform, have it never go down and always work with the same availability as things like Xero, and provide the benefit the customers want, and be beautiful, and be really easy to use, and market it, is a multi-million-dollar exercise to get going.
And Xero have upped their requirements in terms of
validly,
security,
and not saying that's invalid.
Really
Yep. And they should, and the Xero store's harder to get into than the Apple App Store and the Microsoft Store, because there's a bunch more requirements and integration, and you're locked into a bit of a walled garden there. And it's different with some of the other accounting platforms and how you integrate with them.
And could that be causing that bit of a sort of like silence? Is that for the last 2 years, we know all of the current apps have spent most of their time, and I suppose Xero have been inundated with that, trying to, certify all their apps and get them into the store and change that concept. So they probably had to go right through every app that they were currently integrating with, but maybe there's also probably hundreds and hundreds of apps that are or applications that integrate with Xero that aren't even in the store.
Oh, certainly. There's a bunch of that, and there's enough applications you see out there who say, "Hey, you're a Xero user. Go sign into Xero Developer, create your own keys, and it will work for you, and your app will work, and they don't need to go through the hoops of getting into the store." And certainly we've seen a few. We've had customers come to us with apps like that, and so we do see that around there. There's a inordinate number of those which maybe used to integrate with MyOb and now integrate with Xero and do it once for one customer, very specifically as you move around, and certainly some of the data integration tools like CData works that way. It's Xero won't certify the CData component, so these are components that allow you to directly attach things like Power BI to Xero, Xero won't certify them as a just log in with your Xero account and use it. You have to go and create a developer account. You have to go and create keys. It's not very hard, but it's they're certainly quite picky in what they choose and what they don't choose. They certainly don't want to let the data out there that you can do random things with. So that's quite fascinating. But it's interesting. There was a big software launch this month. Huge.
Yeah.
Which one was it?
I didn't hear anything. Come on, that's why we started talking about this.
Yeah, Windows 11 shipped this month.
Oh yeah, I do know about that, because all of you guys who went early, computers and audio keeps on dying. I've had another one turned up today. So one of my techs did it. You've done it. All have had the same thing going. Audio's not working. La la la. You seem to be a lot more stable now.
Yeah, I'm on release now, so it's beautiful. But this is a major operating system release touching billions of people, right? It's enormous. And yet there's been almost nothing in the media. There's been a couple of blips even in the trade press, but there hasn't been, kind of like the fanfare there was for Windows XP or Windows 7 or Windows 8 or, Windows 8 was full of events and all sorts of things going on. It massively different. Windows 10 again was big. Windows 11 has been like, where's Windows 11? It just Well, Windows 11 is quite exciting, and there's lots of cool things in it. I really like
people
it.
People might say that about all releases, you know. Like.
But is that a COVID thing, right? Is the fact that even the latest iPhone release was a bit of a damp squib, right? Here's a phone exactly like the last one, only you can get it. I don't know, you can't get it in different colours. The camera's a bit better or something. So it's like that kind of innovation momentum feels like it's slowed down a little bit. And there's a couple of other things driving that as well. At least in the hardware space, we're in the middle of a massive issue on supply of microchips. So there's a huge backlog of new things in the hardware space. And of course, new software requires new hardware, and new hardware has been slowed down. And so that kind of has a braking effect. And I think a lot of vendors, at least ones I've seen and know well, have gone, yeah, we're going to hold back on release announcements of these things till we can release them properly.
Like the movies, you know, we've had this situation where no movies have been released and all that sort of stuff. And you notice now that the US have opened up and they're all allowed to go to the picture theaters, we're not getting any of the cool movies on live streams, and it's all slowed down. And it's all slowed down. So we're in a little hole right now where we can't go to the pictures. They're not releasing anything in Australia, and we're not getting any of the new releases via stream.
So it's not just the marketing thing. I think if you look at the customers out there, so many organizations are just in a holding pattern at the moment.
Yeah.
They're trying to protect their revenue wherever they can. They're trying to control their costs wherever they can. They're not going out and buying new things and investing in new technologies and doing that kind of stuff, because you wouldn't. It's you're trying to make sure that your business survives this, whatever's going to happen from this, until you've got a bit of certainty. So not a good time to release innovation unless it reduces costs dramatically or improves sales for an organization. And
I think a lot of people realized when COVID hit and they all had to work from home and they had to band-aid a solution so people could work from home, have gone, yeah, we didn't do that very good. Let's go and have a look some better solutions, but nothing new. Let's use what's already out there and run with that. There's a bit of that going on, but they're the laggards. The guys who are already there and doing things, they went, you know, the amount of phone calls I got from accountants who we brought across and that said, thank you so much for what you did for us. If we hit COVID and we were where we were 5-6 years ago, our business was gone. You know, I'm so grateful that we did what we did and we're in the right space. So, you know, makes us feel good. But you know, where, you know, I've sort of seen a bit of that. But yeah, a couple of apps I've heard about, but not much.
Yeah, no, it is fascinating, and I think it's a mixture. You can't do the type of marketing launches you used to be able to do. It's hard to create that type of excitement, and so many customers are going, you know, now it's kind of working, let's not muck with it until we get some stability and some understanding. And I certainly, if I look across our customer base, it's the standard, let's buy new laptops, new PCs, but let's do a big project to change how we do something. There's not a lot of that.
But that was the thing that I was saying, you know, that what happened in the digital transformation from 2010 to 2018-19, before COVID, was a massive step for the accounting industry. We're talking about accounting industry specific. Nothing had happened until 2010. Xero hit the scene and it opened everybody's eyes up, and a lot of accountants did massive changes. And now I think what they're doing is going, we've made all these big changes. Let's hold for a bit and get that worked out.
Yeah. So an interesting fact. There was some research that came out this week from one of the vendors, Practice Protect, I think, did a document that came out this week, which I was reading. I'm not sure of the scale of their research or how many people they researched. But one interesting funky fact is when we started back in 2010, there really was this conflict. Do accountants go? It was almost, do they go Google and Apple, or do they go Surface and Office 365? I think, the jury's not out anymore, because they said 83% of their respondents were using Office 365.
Right.
And nobody mentioned on-premises for those kind of things anymore.
No.
Now, I know there's some people who do it, but that number is reducing crazily quickly. And here's the real interesting, scary bit, is when that momentum to migrate was going on, there are a ton of choices of people who can help you migrate your accounting firm from on-premises to the cloud, and had done enough that they knew what they were doing. As we get into the long tail now, there's less and less and less people in market with experience of migrating an accounting firm to the cloud. So all of that knowledge is being lost. So that's when it gets harder and harder now to migrate, because there's less. It's not like you get more and more people with skills in doing it. It's now the long tail. People have done it. So it's really hard to find people who can help you properly to do that.
Yeah, a lot of the accounting firms that went to the Gmail and tried to do Google Sheets and tried to do those things, they hurt, because the accountants have been using Excel and Word, or especially Excel, for I don't know how long.
And it's not just...
How many people rang you, Nick, to say, can you help me just get a copy of the latest Office documents, because my business has gone Google Sheets and I can't use it.
It was funny because it was that symbiosis. It wasn't just that accountants had been using Excel since the beginning of time. It was Microsoft had been listening to accountants for 30 years and been putting their requirements into the product. So if you look at all the functions available in Excel, it's as a software developer, it's just amazing. But so many of those functions are geared around what accountants do. Yeah. Right, you can do depreciation, you can do, interest calculations, you can do loans, you can do all the financial functions really, really easily. To code those is actually really hard. In fact, there's a website which shows you how to code each of the functions in Excel in C#. Right, and this website has thousands and thousands of pages in it.
Yeah. What we're seeing is big drive for everybody to change and move in the accounting industry. The ones that didn't are probably sitting there now going, okay, how do we do that? They got their VPNs into, they've probably got their VPNs for their software, and they've done all those sort of things. Like, that stuff's been around for a while, but that's really hard to work with. But again, going back to the apps, I think you're right. I think COVID has had an impact on it. I think you're right. It's difficult to market. It's difficult to get in front of people. Shows how important those conferences and that are. That, Xero, the Australian Partner Conference for Microsoft, all of these conferences, QuickBooks runs theirs, MyOb run theirs, there's all these places that you go, and that's how you get in touch with. And they also go and find out, well, what are you looking for? What's the solution you're looking for? And they can communicate and improve their product. So,
yeah, absolutely. Those things are, and Microsoft have really scaled back their partner conference. So I attend. Actually, COVID's been good for one thing. There's my favorite Microsoft conference ever is called Build, and it's really, 3 days of really hardcore educational sessions on what you can do with the tech stack when you're a coder. But I've never attended it because it's always been in the US, and there's been, while it's a useful learning exercise, it's a damn expensive one. But now that's been online, I've attended Build for 2 years, and yes, I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it's a wonderful event, and I book out my calendar for it, and I go and hide, and I come back having all the latest and greatest information. It's a cool event, but what I don't do is network with anyone.
And that's the hard part, where you go to the pub and drink yourself silly, and then go to bed at 3 a.m. and then listen to nothing. Might be a good thing.
but it could be a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because there's a number of times, both when I worked at Microsoft and outside, where you get together with customers or partners or vendors, and you just talk about a scenario, and suddenly a program manager will go, I've got a solution to that, and a year later this cool feature would pop out from a conversation. And that's not happening at the moment.
I like the partner conferences we went to with Microsoft were so well organized, and the meetings you had with people where you pitched your ideas to Microsoft and they said, we're going to fund, what support you were going to get, what you were going to do. I thought that was like were bee's knees. They were like amazing conferences to go to, the way they structured and they ran them, But again, it was either the Microsoft BDM coming in and going, we got this problem. Anybody know how to fix it? Or us going, we've got this idea. Can we put them together? That networking, and that was very structured networking. Remember the tables? You booked your table, you sat down with your BDM, and you went through, and then you talked about what you're working on, what you're doing, and then they went, "Oh, I've got a really cool idea for that." Back and forth, and that generated so much work for us. It was crazy, actually. They were really good events. But you're 100% right. It's going to be interesting. One thing though, you talked about, so with these conferences, I've got a client that does that. They're a festivals ticketing company. So imagine what they were like the day of COVID. I think I was flying up to Sydney, or Gold Coast. I can't remember. I was going up, and I'm on the plane, and the guy, one of the roadies is going, "That's cancelled, that's cancelled, that's cancelled, that's cancelled," and he's in the car with us, and then he's at the airport, and he's just every single concert cancelled on, I think it was March 17 or something like that, back in 2019. It would have been 2020.
2020, yeah.
2020. So he went from, he had no business in like 2 days. So he's had to think differently. So he's doing that streaming events. Now, you talked about how you haven't been able to go to those events that you went to. He's doing that now for massive events overseas where they're streaming. So that resulted from COVID, where they started streaming it now. Now he's saying, well, what you can actually do, so you've got like an amazing DJ over in Holland, who's on there, and you never can get there, you never can get to see them, or you're under 18, you can't go into the bar where it's on. So they're streaming it out, and it's a whole new industry that's come about from that, that's allowing people to attend in person, but also to attend by live stream, which is...
And I think that's that mix is going to be the trick, right? Because there's some events which happen where you just want the content, or there's events that happen and you want to go to one session, and you just can't because you have to do the whole thing or it's somewhere else and blah blah blah. That's going to really shift up things to a degree, and there are events you're going to want to go to too.
And the networking is like I did one event through the Dandenong Chamber of Commerce, and they ran breakout rooms structured, so they had someone talk, and then after that we all broke out. The third breakout got a bit monotonous, but the first two, that was good networking there. We did some work. Got some work through that, and or picked up some, I picked up an employee through it. So, it's there. It's I went to a few of the other conferences, and it just lacked the momentum that it's had before.
I've certainly been to. I've certainly had a couple of conferences going on one screen while I do work somewhere else. That's certainly happened a few times. But there are conferences you go to where you there's a brilliant keynote presentation, and then there's a sponsor presentation, and you kind of zoom out and get your phone out and blah 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 blah. It just
then the sponsors they've missed their audience. They've got an opportunity to, they've got a conference there. You're in there. You can't move out. They turned the lights off. Like I fell down the stairs at Xerocon that time when they turned the bloody lights off because they were going into a what were they doing? It was all about a mental health, and they said we'll give everybody opportunity. There's some pretty heavy stuff we're going into, and if it's not for you, you can leave. And then I got a message saying, can I talk to you urgently? So I thought, I'll go. As I'm getting up to walk out, they turned the lights off. I fell down the stairs. Very embarrassing. But anyway, but captured audience is not there.
Captive audiences are not there at all, which means you have to up your level of content, right? You can't deliver crappy content just because you've got people in a room. So we'll have to up our level of the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat. Not that we've ever had people in a room for it, but I'm looking forward to the day where I can bring my outside broadcast kit. We can get together in a pub and do the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat with guests.
Yeah, you get to do your wine and dine in Sydney.
Well, no, I don't yet. Scott's not double vaxxed, so we're still doing that virtually until, and that's like December or something.
Throw him under the bus. Poor old Scott. He's gonna have a bloody mark. He'll have a big mark on him soon, you know.
Yes, yeah. So I said, well, you can't go out. He said, I can go up to my gate. I'm like, yeah, okay. So
really
cool, but
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but we should plan that when this.
We haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet to even think about it. You know.
Yeah, we should plan in the future to do some Accounting Technology Fireside Chat live, but really live with both of us sitting there. Yeah, and having
go back to our old stomping ground of Manly and have a real view over the water, not a fake one like you've got behind you now. And
yeah, absolutely. Cool.
That was an interesting chat.
It was.
Some good discussion about where things are going. So maybe I'll go do some more research on a few things and some apps that are hitting the market. Yeah, let's have a look at and see how people are doing that. That would be interesting. And I think let's focus maybe next week on having a chat. I'm going to look at some of the news articles in the last month and let's talk about some current things that's going on. Let's have a chat about Windows 11 and what's going on with those kind of things, and how chips are going to impact things. What's the China thing going to do? All those kind of things. We can go have a look at. And for us, current affairs, being counter accountants, maybe you could tell us how we can go get Windows 11, or do you think we should stay away until it's released properly? It's released properly. It's out. Okay. It's not in beta anymore. How do we go and get it? You know, that's the thing. Maybe next week you could do a little. Oh well, let's do a little run through and show you how to do it. Yeah, because we've got no idea. Yeah, that's nice. Benefits? What are the benefits? Yep. Yeah, no, let's do Windows 11 next week. Sounds lovely. Okay, we'll see you then. All right, take care, Trev, and everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you do like what you see, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell, and leave us a comment. We love to see the comments because then we can talk about things which interest you, not just things that interest Trev and I. Although there's lots of things that interest Trev and I, so we'll talk about some. But thank you very much for watching. Trev, thank you for joining me. Yeah, thanks, Nick. Have a great day. Cheers, everyone.